Here we go. A little bit of extra drum roll there. I'm excited today. Tom Ginn here at G-Force. G is for gratitude. In life, when we incorporate gratitude in our life, no matter what's going on in our life, it builds a different perspective, gives you hope, no matter what's going on. Be grateful for all, including the things you're struggling with. Because through gratitude, it changes everything internally for you. So today, in Tuesday's G-Force, I'm really excited today and grateful to know Mike Raber. It goes back a number of years now that Mike, through a number of business networking groups, we have similar backgrounds in the area of financial services, so we resonated with our philosophies about winning with money and prosperity and those type of things. But I'm going to let Mike share that. You're going to come away today with a new perspective, and Mike's going to be sharing that with you today. And he's going to be talking about his new book that he's a co-author in, and I'll let him cover that. But I'm really excited to introduce Mike Raber. Mike, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Great. Mike, hey, it's an honor to have you here today, Mike. Today it's you. It's your show. What I'd like you to do is just, share with where you're from, a little bit about your background, some of your dreams, your aspirations, where you are today, and some sort of message that you want to leave our audience today. So.
Wonderful. Well, I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And though I have lived in various places throughout my life, but Milwaukee is home. And I guess my goal for today is to share with you a couple fun stories, as well as why I think that as small business owners, and I love the G-Force gratitude, because a lot of times in life we forget to stop and pick gratitude for those little things and big things, but the little things that we experience throughout our day, throughout our life. And it is, I believe, through gratitude that the true power of reciprocity comes back to us. And through gratitude, allows us to grace others and show gratitude toward them. So I love the G-Force. So thank you for the opportunity to be on today, and look forward to talking to everyone.
Okay, your journey. I know you Tell me a little bit about your dreams, where you started, where you got family, I'm sure. Why don't you share a little bit about your family and that, and then your journey. I know you lived overseas for a while, and you've got some dreams and that you wanted to share as well, how you got to where you're at today.
Yep, definitely. I'm married. I have 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. Oldest daughter is now 25, so maybe 26. And our twins just turned 23, so they are rapidly growing, which is fun. And I will share a little bit more about them later. And they have been both test pilots for me as well as teachers in their own right. So it's been a lot of fun, and kind of going back to the process, I guess. Ever since, well, it started when I was 12. I came up with the vision or dream that I wanted to build a business or an empire in reality that would allow small business owners to band together and work as one community to help support not only ourselves but our families, but the businesses around us. And that over the years continued to evolve, like all dreams do. But I guess the underlining tagline that I would throw out there right now is dare to dream, especially now at a time when things seem hard and difficult. They are for a lot of people out there. Dreams are what empower us, I believe, to step forward, do the things that many say can't be done. But within our dream, we know it can be done if only we will have the opportunity, if only we will do it. So, dare to.
I really appreciate what you're sharing there. Is that our success in life, no matter whether it be business or anything else, is predicated on the support system around us and the people around us. And, I'm a personal development coach, and I encourage people to, if they want improvement, find people that are improving themselves and start hanging around with them. And that's what I love about you, Mike, is you've shared your story with me in the past, and some of your insecurities, like we all have, right? And the doubts that we have. But share a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Where did you start? You want to build a community and support people, and that vision that you have for the long term. But where did you start? What was your first entrepreneurial venture, and any challenges, and how you got over them?
Well, really, it's kind of funny because one wouldn't, like a lot of dreams, they start in weird places and kind of work themselves out. One wouldn't really look at this as an entrepreneurial quest, but in many ways it was. So let me take you back to when I was 19. Imagine you're 19 years old. You wake up, you kind of wipe the morningness from your eyes, and you look around you, and you're sitting on a park bench, 6,000 some miles away from home, away from everything that seems to be safe and comfortable, with no money in your pocket, nothing but a dream. Now, you may ask, how did you get there, and why? And why didn't you go have money in your pocket at that point? It's 3 months after being in Taiwan. When I was 15, I had dropped out of high school and decided that I was going to open a Chinese restaurant. And a friend of the family's at the time owned a Chinese restaurant, and I worked for him full time and had a passion to learn Chinese food. So every day I would ask them, please teach me how to cook Chinese food. Please teach me how to cook Chinese food. And they kept saying, no, Mike, you're not Chinese. Back then it was taboo to teach things like Chinese cooking and other culture-related things to non-Chinese. So after pestering them for a while, finally the head chef decided to take me under his wing, and he would teach me how to cook, but he couldn't openly do it. So he would do something like knock over a bag of flour and say, Mike, go clean it up, please. And I would be on my knees cleaning up the flour, and he would be standing next to me cooking the dish and speaking out loud as he made the dish. And so I clean up the flour, he's done cooking the dish, he'd look at me, smile, and say, go home, practice. And one could say I literally learned the whole menu cleaning up messes.
Okay, that's a great story, Mike. So, so did that dream ever come to fruition, having a Chinese restaurant?
Actually, that was kind of funny because one of the caveats, which going back to Taiwan, was finally after a few years of doing this, I kept pestering my boss to teach me how to open a restaurant. He kept saying, no, you're not Chinese, give it up. So out of frustration, I said, look, there's 2 billion Chinese in the world, and teach me how to be Chinese. And he goes, okay, tell you what, you have 2 weeks to prepare. You can only buy a one-way ticket. You have to move to Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan, because that's kind of like the melting pot of Chinese food. And he says, so you can only buy a one-way ticket. You can only bring $100 with you, and you have to stay there for 5 years. And if you do that, when you come back, I'll open a restaurant, which goes back to the earlier point. Imagine waking up on a park bench. After about a month and a half, I ran out of money. Very quickly became homeless and had to figure out how to bootstrap and continue my dream, but also survive. So I did different things, like there is a bushiban, or a Chinese tutoring center, and they couldn't keep instructors there. And I was offered a job which would have paid enough to survive and then some, if only I could control the class. So I had one day where I went in there, and it was a trial. And I look around the class, and they're noisy and rambunctious and totally ignoring me. And I could understand why 6 instructors before me quit, because there's no way of controlling the class, except I had no choice. I wanted to eat. I enjoy food with my meals. So I looked in the back of the classroom, and there's this kid who was just sitting there, and he was bigger than all the other kids and kind of a loner, I could tell. And he was sitting there by himself. So I signaled for him to come up to the front of the class, and he comes up. I reached into my pocket and pulled out 50 NT, which was all the money I had at the time, and said, I'll make you a deal. And I said this in Chinese so the other kids would hear me. I said, I will give you this if you will punch as hard as you can the first kid who makes noise, laughs, does anything to disrupt the class until we are done. Is that a deal? And he smiles and says, okay, how? That's a deal, no problem. Silence for the whole class. Not a word of any of the students as he sat there next to me. Then at the end of the class, the principal came in and saw that, and she was amazed at how quiet and how well behaved the kids were and hired me on the spot. So that began that process. And over the next 4.5 years I was in Taiwan, I started working with businesses and learning about entrepreneurism, learning all the things I wanted to learn as a student or as a kid about business. Taiwan became a melting pot of lessons. I was able to teach and work with people that were multimillionaires, people that were starting out, everywhere in between within the Asian culture. So not only did I learn about business, but I learned kind of the Asian variation of it, which was really cool. And now, in answer to your question, about 6 months after being there, whenever about 4 months after being there, I met this girl, and I fell in love with her, and she became the love of my life. And 4.5 years later, I asked her to marry me, and her response was, "I'll marry you, but I'm not marrying a restaurant. So it's me or the restaurant." At that point, I had learned enough about business that I knew I wanted to continue my dream of helping entrepreneurs anyway. So we got married, moved back to the States, ended up in Seattle for what was supposed to be a 2-week vacation. And I realized that there were a lot of things in Seattle that I needed to learn. So I started to open up various businesses, and we had our children there and started our adult life, so to speak, in Seattle, where I ran a limousine company and ran many other businesses, and really started to learn the tricks. How do you take a business, start it, grow it, scale it, and hopefully eventually sell it? Because unless you want to have a business that's going to be passed down to the kids, a goal of a business is to have it have enough value to survive without you in it, creating entrepreneurial value in the business.
Mike, can I interject
Yeah.
something here? I'm just amazed. I've heard some of the stories in our conversation in the past, but going to China with virtually no money, working keeping on your dream, even though I'm sure it was difficult. Mm-hmm. Coming to the States, you had to make a decision, right? You made that decision, and you came to Seattle, and it was supposed to be a vacation, right? And now you're starting a business.
Yeah.
I think what I like to, is that because your vision and your dreams are strong, is that, you think, the key that just kept you moving forward, even though I know you had obstacles. We all do, right?
Yes.
You want to expand on that?
Yeah, definitely. That most certainly. There are a lot of times going to Taiwan, people say if you go there, you'll likely die over there. And I said, well, then I'll die trying. And I always had the philosophy that the dream, I guess I had the belief, not so much the philosophy, but the belief that the dream or vision I had was bigger than myself. And I knew that if I was able to lean into it and at some point bring it to flourishing, it would be able to empower and help improve the lives of multiple people around me, including my own family. So when times got the hardest and I would fall on my knees, so to speak, in prayer or in just frustration, I would always have that nagging edge that get back up and keep going. It's not about you, it's about what you are here to do. And I always lean into that. And that's probably one of my most biggest drives, I guess, as a business owner, as well as a parent, as well as a husband, as well as someone in my community, is I'm always first to ask, how can I help? And trying to step in and be that leader, be that role in my community, to where I'm a firm believer that by ourselves we can do amazing things. Yet together we can climb the highest mountain. So I love surrounding myself, kind of like what you're talking about earlier about who we surround ourselves with. Surrounding ourselves with people that are on a continued growth pattern themselves, because then together we grow. And
with that, the people who surround you, they become mentors and coaches. Have you sought out personal development and coaching in and around that, and to help support what you're doing?
Yeah, very much so. In fact, it's kind of funny because when I was early on in my entrepreneurial, my daughter was 6 years old. I had reached a point in my business, like a lot of entrepreneurs, where I had 3 businesses, 2 were on life support, 1 was kind of just barely getting along, and the 2 that were on life support were quickly eating the 3rd, which was the strong business, the limousine company. And because I was trying to, I set a goal that I wanted to make $200,000 that year. And I did, but I spent $225,000 to make $200,000.
Okay. And what did you learn? Have gratitude. Did we learn from the things that weren't working, right? So,
yeah, so true. I learned the hard way what net income means versus gross income. And at that point, I was introduced to a gentleman and became my mentor. And my daughter, who was 6, her mentor as well, which was really cool because he mentored both of us together. So I always had a shadow behind me saying, Dad, is that what Brian would do? Dad, are you sure you should be doing it this way? Which was fun because we both grew into entrepreneurs in our own right. At a point when she was 9, she came from school one day and she was mad because she watched one of her classmates spend all her money on candy. And I reminded her, I said, it's not your money, it's not your candy. Why are you so upset? And she was, Dad, you don't get it. It's not like she put some of the money down and put the rest back in her pocket. She spent it all on candy. So she clearly doesn't understand what money represents. And I said, yeah, but in her defense, she's in 3rd grade. And she pounds her laughing and she said, but Dad, if we don't teach our kids when they're in 3rd grade how to properly manage their money, they're going to end up with money issues when they're an adult. So where should we start when they are a child with the dollar, as Jim Rohn would say?
Yeah. All right.
And so she created a company called Children and Beyond back then, teaching kids money management skills, which then drove her and I to write a book called Parenting That Makes Sense, The Secret to Raising Financially Savvy Kids, which we're actually doing the 2nd edition of, and sharing how she took the lessons that we talk about in the book, and that got her almost a full ride to undergrad and a stipend to grad school in music, which is not an easy task, and is now living her dream as a musician and a community leader in her own right. And so it's kind of the grown-up version of this child. So the book is taught in the kind of the mindset of a kid because we wrote it together, but then it evolved. So the 2nd edition of that's going to be coming on a couple of weeks, which is exciting. But yeah, it's been, going back to your point though, it's been very much learning experience. I've had mentors in my life, for pretty much all my life. I've always had mentors around me. In Taiwan, I had my students that became teachers. In Seattle, with the limousine company, a lot of my clients became mentors to me as well.
That's amazing, Mike. And I think, being leaders, myself being a coach, there's many times I learn more from my clients than whatever. So everybody has something to contribute. And, we get our egos out of the way. We have an opportunity to absorb and take that and become better. And so, we're in business and leadership. It's not all about us. We can definitely learn from those around us. And I know you learned a lot from your daughter, right? And,
yeah. Yeah. And our 3 kids. And it's funny because they're very different. My son's very black and white, and he's wants to do what's right and wants to make sure that he is able to help those around him. My younger daughter is studying to be a psychologist, and my older daughter, who I just talked about. So they all have found their own place in the world. And through a lot of lessons that I was able to share with them growing up, they are now moving into that realm. But what really, I guess, going back to our earlier conversation, was it empowered me to stay true to my dream and stay true to, I've done many, many things throughout my career that people would say, that's amazing. Yet because I always felt like I had to do one thing more, the confidence that should have been there wasn't there. People would say, you should write a book. So I'd say, okay, so I'd write a book. And people would say, you should do this. And I always believed that, I knew I had a purpose higher than myself, but I always believed I needed to learn that one extra thing where I would be ready to deliver that purpose. And one of the things in this past year was I'm part of a book series, Brilliant Breakthroughs for Small Business Owners, where it's designed to bring fresh perspectives on profitability, people, productivity, and finding peace in your business. And it's kind of like the encyclopedia for small business owners, which has been fun because it's allowed me to, each book brings a different set of business experts or influencers together, and we write on different topics. But this year, I felt going into the year and going into February and March when things started shutting down. And in many ways, life as we knew it was changing radically in front of us. That it was time to step into that self, that person that I had been planning and training for, kind of like training for a marathon. You spend a lot of time training, and then the marathon itself only takes a few hours. But there's hours and hours and hours and hours behind that goes into doing that. My professional life, I think a lot of our professional lives are training for that marathon. And the question is, what's the marathon?
Yeah, that's what is like you having that vision and that dream clearly edged in your mind, in your heart. That helps you do the hard work, right?
Yeah.
Training to run the race, that event is only maybe 3 or 4 hours or whatever. It'd take me about 5 days to run a marathon, but whatever that distance of the race, and everybody has a different journey in that path. So, hey, Mike, why don't you share a little bit about, the book, and, you were talking about one particular topic in your book. Why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about the book and the group? Share the group.
Okay.
Who are some of the authors besides yourself and what they bring, and so people get a better understanding what Brilliant Breakthroughs is. So why don't you go ahead?
Okay, perfect. The book itself, the group, again, the book volume 1 is more of the foundational business, why it's important to have a headshot as an example, or digital. How do you step into the digital portion of your business? And there's an attorney that wrote a chapter in one of the books. There are different people in the last book that we wrote in volume 4, which is coming out tomorrow, actually. There is a person who is in leadership, cultural leadership, where she teaches businesses how to improve the culture within their business. Last year, the same scenario. We had a person who is a leadership coach who deals in the IT side of the business. So how do you make the IT portion of the business work together and yet still function and talk to people? Because businesses are still run by people. And I could go on and on and on about the different components. Another author in this year's book is a doctor out of Seattle who I worked with for years when I was in Seattle, who is a chiropractor, but he's also naturopathic. He talks on how our business is made up of energy, the gratitude, going back to that if we stop and pay gratitude towards other people through our business, it raises the vibration, the energy of our business. And through that, we're able to not only affect and have a bigger influence in our community, but our business also grows. So there's a lot of different types of lessons throughout the book. One this year, though, going back to, and it kind of goes back to 2 years ago, my older daughter and I were talking. And she said, Dad, I'm convinced that we all have a superpower or a core genius. And it's our job to figure out what that is and then share it with the world. And then after that, she said, Dad, you spent the last 25 years putting everything you have into us and Mom. And it's time for you to take that same intensity and put it into your business and into those you are here to serve. And I really took that to heart. And then again, going back to the earlier part of this year and watching the directions that things were going and seeing the direction that I needed to take my business in, I totally revamped it and started. In fact, I'm launching a brand new company. I moved a lot of the stuff that I was doing and kind of put it packaged together in a nice little package, and it launches tomorrow as well, called 100 million strong. And the goal is to build a movement, a community of 100 million people where together we can make a positive influence in the world.
Oh, wow. Collectively changing thinking is basically is bringing a different perspective from what's the foundation of that? What is some of the foundational behind that in regard? I believe that's a spiritual concept. What would that, what's the foundation of, be able to influence the world at that magnitude? That's very admirable goal. So, what's the real spiritual foundation of that?
Thank you. Part of it is going back to gratitude again, where I was talking to Dave Raber, one of the authors in the book, over Christmas, and he was talking about this food drive that his neighborhood put together to raise money for the Hunger Task Force. And he was sharing with me how they're going through the neighborhood and how all these people were giving food away, but they were being blessed as much because you could see the gratitude that people getting the food showed gratitude in that they had food, but the people giving the food away had the same amount of gratitude towards them taking the food and for the ability to give the food away, right? So by collectively pulling everybody together and donating the food to the Hunger Task Force, it raised the overall vibration of the group because they were all working together for the common well-being of mankind, of the community, of people. And that really got me thinking that if we really want to, on a magnitude, especially 100 million people size, change the vibration, change the degree of, when I say vibration, I'm talking about the mindset, the heart level, at a heart level. So people are able to move forward with a smile on their face, even if they don't want to smile, but knowing that out there they're still good and they have the ability to deliver that good. That through one person and another, going back to the phrase earlier, by ourselves we can do great things, yet together we can climb the highest mountain, creating groups where we create gratitude, we create positive movement through helping a charity, through helping our neighborhood, helping wherever there needs to be help, but working together to help improve the lives of those around us, and then linking like links on a chain where it grows and grows and grows and grows. Now imagine if a neighborhood is totally energized by raising food for the Hunger Task Force. The power that you could have on a global and certainly a community level of 100 million people working together. Not necessarily on one topic, it could be, but on multiple topics. But it's that combined energy, that combined force working together for the common good and the common theme.
Yeah. Wow. So let's move into your book, and what's your part of the book? What is your messaging in the book? And because you were sharing with that earlier, so
yes.
Specifically, what's Mike bringing to the world in this to make this happen? What is your message in the book? Your chapter?
The chapter in the book I wrote is called "Don't Let Your Influence or Capabilities Be Overpowered by Imposter Syndrome." And it goes up back to a lot of what I was talking about before. Was my Achilles heel was imposter syndrome. I always felt like I needed to learn one more thing. I wasn't ready when I was. And I've come to the conclusion, and through the book I talk about how we look at people, the Tony Robbins, the Zig Ziglars, the movie stars, the big influencers, celebrities, and we think about how, wow, they're doing that. Well, I couldn't do that. They were like us at one point. If they could do it, that only means so can we, if we're willing to do what it takes to do it. Back to when my daughter said, we all have a superpower or a genius. It's our job to figure out what it is and to share it with the world. The challenge where imposter syndrome comes in is it keeps us from trying to share it with the world.
Imposter syndrome. That's a very interesting word. And, I can relate to that, Mike. I think anybody listening today that's that insecurity of ourselves. We think we got to know more. If you go out, then I'm faking it until I'm making it. I don't believe that is a true statement. I believe if you're coming from that internal space to have impact, you're going to learn along the way. And don't, I just believe that to grow and do what you want to do in life and tap into your genius, you got to put it into action.
Mm-hmm.
And not worry about, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I worthy enough? And we can fill in the blank, right? The imposter syndrome. If I go out there, am I being real? If you're real, right? Is that sort of the message?
Yep, definitely. And I think if the kind of person that's going to question themselves and say, am I an imposter? They're not. Because if they were, they wouldn't question themselves. If they truly have the heart to serve, serve, right? I mean, don't, and that, in fact, one of the examples I share in the book here is, and it's kind of funny because how you said fake it till you make, I changed that a little bit to faith it. Faith it until you become it, which takes that heart level faith. I have the faith that if I do this, this will come. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know, well, I know why, but I don't know necessarily how, and I don't have to know how yet. The people who have the answers to that will come to me if I step forward and start doing it. And I use an example of a toddler. A toddler looks at, the 2-year-old looks at the 3-year-old who's running across the room and says, wow, I wish I could run. Well, they will eventually. They don't say, oh man, he's running, I can't run, and stop, never try, and therefore never run. We get up and we run because we watch and we emulate what that person's doing, and eventually we are running too. Or the musician who watches a senior musician play music and says, wow, the music is so beautiful. I wish I could play too. Well, practice, play, and eventually they will be playing to the same level. So it's, and that's why if you look at in my website, the influencer's journey, my goal with that, kind of like with what we're doing right now, is we're sharing stories of our own journeys as influencers, right? And there's people that are ahead of me, there's people that are behind me, and by sharing our story, I learn from the lessons of those who are a few miles ahead of me, and I then take those and I share those with people who are a few miles behind me, and together we lift, together we move forward.
That's the hand up.
Mm-hmm.
The hand down, hand up. You're pulling people. That's one of the things, if I may, Mike, is, when I'm working with my clients, I tell them I don't have all the answers, but we're going to grow together.
Mm-hmm.
I have experiences. I have some things that have improved me with mentoring and coaching, and my passion is to help, and letting people know who you are, and then you don't have all the answers, but together we will.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get that? Does that help maybe plant the seed of getting over that imposter syndrome? I mean, I just came to me. I just thought I would share that with you.
Yeah, definitely. And knowing that our minds are capable of amazing things. I mean, you'll appreciate this story I share in the chapter 2, is with all of your training that you've done with Bob Proctor, etc. That my daughter, when she was younger, she wanted to try out for this basketball team. And she found out that they had to shoot free throws as part of the trial. And she panicked because she never shot a free throw in her life. And now she has to shoot 3 of them. So she calls me 2 days before I was on a business trip, and she says, Dad, I have this trial coming up. I really want to get in a basketball team. What should I do? So I said, relax. I will take you to the gym tomorrow when I get back, and I'll teach you how to shoot free throws. And I promise you it will be all right. She was, okay, Dad. The next day, we went to the gym. We walk up to the free throw line. I gave her the ball. I said, take the ball, look at the free throw, and you pretty much know how you would shoot the free throw, right? She says, yeah, I think so. So I kind of demonstrated how it would look. I said, now walk forward. I had her walk forward until I knew she could easily make the shot. Then I said, okay, release the ball. And she shot it up, swoosh, right into the pool. And I said, now step back to the free throw line. She walks back to the free throw line. She takes the ball. She pulls it in her hand. I said, I now want you to close your eyes. See the free throw in front of you, and I want you to mentally make 100 free throws. And she says, mentally? I say, yeah, envision yourself shooting the free throw 100 times. And when you're done, we'll go home. And she kind of looked at me and goes, okay, Dad, be coachable. That's part of it too, right? So she sat there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 100 perfect free throws. We went home. I then went up the next day. She goes to try out, and I had her take the ball, go to the free throw line, and I said, now this time, I want you to close your eyes and envision the 100 free throws you shot yesterday, but this time I want you to open up your eyes and release the ball. And she did. Free throw number 1, swish. Okay, let's do that again. Close your eyes, envision the 100 you just did, release, swish. She did that. She made all 3 free throws. Afterwards, the coach walks over and goes, "That was amazing. Do you guys practice a lot?" And I said, "No, to be truthful, she never shot one before yesterday." And she didn't really technically shoot one yesterday. And the coach goes, "But she's the only one who made all three of them. How did she do it?" And I said, "Simple. She didn't know she couldn't."
Mike, I tell you what, that's phenomenal. That's powerful. How visualizing the outcome before you expect it, how powerful that is. And there's been a lot of other stories, studies in and around that, with basketball and other things. The visualization is part of getting the results you want. And wonderful, wonderful teaching there. So a little bit more about your book and let the audience know, how they can get it. Tell about your launch and what you're doing there. I'm excited for everybody here to take advantage of your book and your opportunity to get to know you even more.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, November is National Entrepreneurs Month. So that's why we decided to launch the book tomorrow, 11/11/20, is in honor of National Entrepreneurs Month. And a lot of us believe, well, we all believe, that entrepreneurs, small businesses are still the bedrock of this country, of the world, technically. And through entrepreneurs working together, small business owners working together and growing their businesses, they can take care of their family and they can take care of their community around them. So that's one of the reasons why we wrote the volume of books, is again to arm entrepreneurs with the skills and resources that they're going to need to do that. So November being Entrepreneurs Month, we decided that we're going to have the launch. And one of the things that we did was there's nine of us authors in this book here.
Hold it up, Mike, so they can take a good look at it. Hold it up still.
Brilliant breakthroughs for the small business owner, which will become available tomorrow. So stay tuned. However, what we did was we put together 100 free tips of do's and don'ts, how to survive as a small business owner, winding down 2020 and how to gear up for 2021. And if you go to brilliantbizbook.com, all caps, capital B, brilliant, capital B-I-Z, capital B-O-O-K, brilliantbizbook.com, you can download 100 free tips, which I have found very helpful in my own business. I'm sure you will as well. But also tonight and tomorrow morning, we will send you information on how you can download a copy of the book, a digital copy of the book for 99 cents. And we have promo price for tomorrow as a way of thanking entrepreneurs and really thanking all of you, because with a launch, it's something that we all do together. We're going to show up and we're going to do all this stuff on our end tomorrow to make sure that the launch is successful and we can get the book out there and the digital copy out there to people who want it and will benefit from it. But I also ask the help of you out there as well to share the book with people that you may know about that could benefit from this as well. And our goal is to have as many people download the book at the 99-cent rate in honor of Entrepreneurism Month tomorrow, so that we all win.
Wonderful, Mike. Yeah, I'm here to support you on that. I know, being an entrepreneur, my wife and I, and the many different things we do in our businesses. And, it really comes down to your passion, and finding that, I call your brilliance, your genius. We all have it. And Mike, you have found yours, and it's an honor to know you and be associated with you and in all the different groups we've connected with. And I know moving forward that we'll maintain that relationship, because I know we've had many talks at different times about different things. Definitely. But I know you're making an influence out there. So what I want to make sure is that everybody take advantage of the 100 free tips for small businesses. I put my banner up here. Share this out. Tag your friends. Go to Mike's site to get all the instructions. And you can, Mike, also with your previous volumes, or can people order those as well if they want to have a continuation of the previous books? How do they go?
Yeah, they will also be for sale at Amazon too. But tomorrow, as far as this book would be, I would say wait till tomorrow, and then you can get access to this for 99 cents, and it goes up, I think, $8 after that.
Okay, wonderful.
For the digital, and then the you can also get, if a person wants like I'm still a firm believer, if I love holding it, the printed version and soon to be hardcover version will also be available on Amazon. I think it's $19.95 or $29.95 for the hard version.
Okay, hardcover. Okay, wonderful. Well, Mike, any parting thoughts you want to leave on this live stream today? I'm grateful you're here. It's been fun, going to China with virtually no money in your pocket and going after that dream. Hey, can you say something in Chinese about gratitude? I like to hear gratitude in Chinese.
Okay, gratitude. What can I say?
Did I throw a curveball at you there?
No. Well, 如果你们买这个是我非常谢谢你们。
Okay, thank you. What did you just say?
I said that if people will log on tomorrow and purchase the digital version, I would be very, very thankful for them.
Great. I appreciate it. That was fun, Mike. So
thanks.
Now we have it this live stream in 2 languages. So we're going to conquer the world there, Mike, doing Chinese and English. So
there you go.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Any parting thought before I put you in the green room here for a moment?
I guess the only parting thought that I will leave with everybody is right now we are at a time when the world needs us to show up and show up brightly and continue to learn, continue to share what you're learning. And together, if we all show up, amazing things can and will happen. But it has to come from us showing up first.
Wonderful, Mike. Yeah, I don't think there's a better closing than that. So I'm just going to put you in our green room, and we're sign out and say, just hang on for a minute or two afterwards. Make sure that there's any details that I need to be aware of. With that, Mike, I'm so grateful to know you.
Me too.
And the group of people you're with as well. So I pretty much know a lot of those folks. Hopefully I'll get them on as well. You want to help get all of them on here. We'll really make an impact. Okay, Mike?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. I'm going to put you in the back room, and I'm going to be signing out. Again, Mike Raber, Brilliant Breakthroughs. Download the 100 free tips for small businesses. Brilliant Breakthroughs. Mike's website is there. theinfluencersjourney.com. You can email Mike directly, find out what he's doing. You have questions, anything like that, be free to reach out to Mike. And with that all said, it's with gratitude. Take this day. It is the best day of your life. And when I say that to people, I stop them in their tracks, because in reality, no matter what else is going on, right now is the very best in your life. With gratitude. Have a great day. We're signing out. G-Force.